Meet Bercouli Synthesis One, the oldest of the Integrity Knights and the commander of the Order. Bercouli is a supporting character for the majority of the entire Alicization Arc. However, even before taking the spotlight as the commander in the public eye during the War of Underworld, the middle-aged man was well known in the small village of Rulid for an entirely different reason: the legend of Bercouli and the Northern White Dragon. A tale as old as the founding of Rulid, the legend of Bercouli and the Northern White Dragon was etched in the minds of every kid in the village, describing how one of the founders of their village was also an adventurer. During one of his adventures into the End Mountains, he had discovered a divine object known as the Blue Rose Sword, along with the Northern White Dragon, one of the guardian beasts residing in between the borders of the Human Empire and the Dark Territory. Bercouli had attempted to take the sword for himself, but awoke the dragon in the process. The dragon had supposedly allowed him to escape without harm when he opted to leave the sword behind. The star of the legend himself, however, was left with no recollection of this legend due to being forced to undergo the synthesis ritual by Quinella. Instead, upon laying eyes on the Blue Rose Sword once again when Yu-Gi-Oh encountered him in the Central Cathedral, the Integrity Knight recalled the time when he was sent to the End Mountains to slay the beast guarding the borders. Having been provided a divine object known as the time-piercing blade that could cut the future or the past, he never felt the need to take the Blue Rose Sword from its resting place, as he already had a blade that perfectly suited his style and skills. Having been put to deep freeze by Prime Senator Chudelkin after being defeated in the battle against Yu-Gi-Oh, Bercouli would awake once again shortly after the fall of the Axiom Church leadership to assume command of what remained of the Integrity Knight Order and prepare them for the upcoming war, where he himself would play a major role as well. Despite learning of the piety modules the late administrator had forced on the knights, he never resented her, as his true loyalty to her came from his will to protect the Human Empire from outside threats in the first place. Bercouli was never a man who tried to grasp bigger concepts than himself, leaving it to those who had a better understanding of circumstances. But one thing remained lingering in his mind. He wasn't sure when he had the dialogue with Quinella, nor was he even certain if it was real or not due to the decades-long meddling with his memory by her. But one thing Quinella had said continued to plague him. For a long time, he never understood what the late administrator meant with that statement. But with the war approaching yet another turning point, it was slowly starting to make sense to him as he started his proud and valiant march to the end of eternity, swallowing all of his regrets one last time. For more information on Bercouli Synthesis One and Sword Art Online, make sure to visit the Sword Art Online Wikia. Check out these other SAO Wikia features that we know you'll find useful, and don't forget to follow us at SAO_Wikia on Twitter for the latest news on the series.